So today we're talking about how we can get the cinematic, rich and dense colors without ruining our footage. Now, how do people get that very high saturated colors which are looking very dense inside of cinema? It is something actually that is coming from a filmic look. You'll see these very deep saturated colors in mainly movies and also on old films. Now, how can we replicate that? Because most of the times when we try to get the saturation, it looks very bad. So let's first look at the wrong way of doing it, then let's look at two different ways of doing it the correct way and actually getting something that looks like that rich filmic look. So first things first, we have three footages with us over here, and one of just skin, one of a little bit of red, and one of a very specific amount of red. So first things first, we are going to use S-Log3 base. I'm not going to be using much other color grading. I'm just going to be using just the saturated part. That is only the thing that I wanted to show. But yeah, perfect. Okay, this Coca-Cola can and this Premier tissue box does not look exactly red. This box sort of looks very red. This has a little like lighter red pinkish value. And what can we do about it? The first things that we generally do is to increase the saturation. All right, let's do it. And that is the wrong way of doing it. If we come down here and increase the saturation, see, it does become more red, but its color, I don't know, it's still too bright for me, and this is not what movie colors look like. This is a very weird flaw in the saturation wheel of every editing software, and this is absolutely the wrong way of doing it. Now let's get a little bit technical. This is called additive saturation, which also adds a little bit of brightness. There is also something called subtractive saturation. That is exactly what we want. That is what is used in movies. And that is also was something that was emulated in old film stocks. So that is something that we're trying to get. So how can we get subtractive saturation in our footages? I'll show you one very sloppy way, one very legit way, and one way where it needs you to have the Davinci Resolve Studio version. So that is not really a free way, right? So the first things first, I'll get rid of this abomination and we go back to where we want to start with. One thing we can do is to go into any node, to be honest, and use the hue saturation curve over here to get the red and increase the saturation. And you see this saturation works just like the other one, but to compensate towards the increased brightness, we are also going to go into the hue versus luma curve, select the red and bring it down. Now this red looks a lot more denser without looking much brighter. This is good, but as I said, this is the sloppy way. This is not a very legitimate way to get subtractive saturation, because how much saturation you increase here and how much brightness you decrease here, both those things cannot be completely in conjunction and cannot be completely correlated with each other. Alright, so let's just get rid of this node and let me show you the legitimate way of doing it. This is something called color density. Color density is essentially what we are trying to get. The more the color density, the more is the subtractive saturation. So I'll come here, so you can create any node with it. Okay, what you have to do, I'll just reset the graded. Okay, what you have to do is to come to color space and then select HSL or HSV. Then you come down here and go to channel 1, turn it off, channel 3, turn that off as well. Why are we doing it? So see, our color space generally you use timeline, which is sRGB, right? So RGB, there are 3 channels, one red, green and blue. But as soon as we switch the color space to HSV, the channels shift to H, S and V, which is hue, which means color, saturation, which is saturation, and vibrance, which means how bright or how vibrant a color is. Now, if we turned off channel 1 and channel 3, that means hue and vibrance is turned off. Now, whatever we do with our primary wheels is going to only affect channel number 2, which is saturation. So all these wheels are not going to be affecting highlights, midtones and shadows anymore. They're going to be affecting saturation. So with all that said, I'm going to come down here and start to increase the gain a little bit, and you will see magic, my friend. You see how the brightness is preserved, but this can of Coca-Cola has gotten way more dense, way more richer, right? You look at this color, you can do it even more, you can push it further if you want. But I think that's a little too much. I think somewhere over here is a really good spot. And you can see this was before and this is after. There is so much more richness in every single color, especially the red. Because in old film stocks, red was something that was emulated as very dark and dense color. So that is something, that is the look that we're trying to go for. So that's one way of doing it, one legitimate way of doing it. Then there is another way of doing it which requires you to have Davinci Resolve Studio, the paid version. For that, I'm just going to unlock this, and we need something called Film Look Creator. And Film Look Creator is only available in the Davinci Resolve Studio 19. It's not there in 18. So I open up Film Look Creator and I will just get rid of CST. I don't need it anymore. I'll where is it, color space, I'll have to select whatever I shot it on, SG3 Cine and Sony S-Log 3. Cool. I think D65 will be good enough. I'll get the film look over here is okay, but the only problem with doing the subtractive saturation with this is that you will have to use some kind of film look with it. So I'm just going to use cinematic or Akaska. Yeah, Akaska looks good. And then you come down here and you see the exact thing you're searching for, the subtractive saturation. And you increase it, you'll see the same thing happening. The color is getting denser. You can also increase the richness a little bit, which will make the color a little more rich. Right, but if you increase it too much, it looks more like old filmic look. But I don't like to increase any of this too much. I would increase the subtractive saturation to somewhere like this and increase the richness to somewhere like this, and we have the perfect red color in this shot. Now let's do it very quickly in two more other shots. Cool. I'm going to be using the way number 2, the most legitimate way, the way that I use, okay, in every single shot, because I'm not using the film look creator in every single shot, because in some videos I am trying to go for the filmic look, but in most videos I'm trying to go for a more of a cinematic look, the modern cinematic look. So yeah, that's how we're going for it. And let's get rid of this. Perfect. Okay, not perfect. I'll just get the S-Log 3 base. And there we go. This is a shot with a lot of red light, but if again, you see the red light, because of our camera sensor, it is a little bit pinkish, and that is not what we want. So this density node is already set up to HSV. Channel 1 and 3 are already turned off. So I can just come here and increase the gain, and the reds are turning into reds. You see, like if we are wanting to show a terrifying, a little anxiety driving scene, if we need the red to look bloody, even if the light was actually red, this does not look very bloody. This does not look real red. But if I turn on the density, now this looks a little bit scary. But this does not only affect the reds, it can also affect the skin tones, because the skin tones are also very close to red only. There is a little bit of reddish and orangish tint in our face as well. So this is a footage of me, my eyes. Yeah, that is good. I'll decrease the exposure just a little bit. I think it's a little too much, because we are losing some information over this part, this part, this part. So I'm just going to bring it down a little bit. Perfect. I'm going to go in now. I'm going to go into density and increase the gain right from here, and you will see my skin looks a little more full of blood, to be honest. Okay, so if you like this kind of a little more richness in your skin, that is something that you can do. Or if you just want to look pale, that also works. But yeah, now we understand how can we get cinematic subtractive saturation in our footages. So go ahead and use this absolutely fabulous trick in your videos, and make sure you never touch this saturation wheel. So thanks a lot for watching this video, and I hope you learned something from it, and I will see you in the next one. Bye bye.